ever wrestled with a decision that needs to be made and you're just not sure which way to go? Or perhaps you chose not to do something when in hindsight it would have been a good thing to do. Want to make better decisions? In today's episode, I'm sharing the roles our mind and our intuition play in effective decision making and why using our mind for the wrong part of the decision can lead to poor decisions. I'm also going to share 2 exercises. The first exercise will help you to recognize intuitive urges. The second exercise is a process that will help you make even better decisions. Let's talk about our intuition. Well, hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Project Joyful podcast. I'm your host, Tracy, your medical herbalist and high performance coach. So, hey, Project Joyful isn't just about being happy. It's about consciously creating a life you love. It's about remembering how to reconnect with your soul-centered joy. You know, that joy that comes from doing what you love, from living on purpose, and from being in a life that allows you to experience deep joy moment by moment. So, hey, let's get started, shall we? I get asked this question a lot. So an opportunity arises, but it doesn't quite feel right. Popular psychology and New Ageism tells us that it's important to trust our gut or follow our intuition, and it is. But when you're in the middle of it, weighing the pros and cons, how do you know it's your intuition doing all the talking? I've had this conversation with 2 clients in the past week. One was considering resigning from her job and one had been headhunted and offered an opportunity. Both just weren't sure. Here's the thing. There's a part of our brain called the amygdala or the reptilian brain. And this is the part that's focused on keeping you safe. It finds safety through predictability. It's kept us on this planet as a species because when we're heading out for some hunting or gathering, we could predict that it was likely we would survive the day. The weather was manageable, I felt well, most foreseeable dangers were predicted and catered for. But that subroutine that kept us safe was based on our assessment of the future based on what's happened in the past. This assumes that how we have defined that future is what will come to pass, even though it hasn't happened yet. It also assumes that we haven't learned from past events, so we will behave in exactly the same way. And it assumes our recollection of those past events, the story we told ourselves about those past events and how we gave it meaning, were true. So as a test for it to be true, it needs to apply to every single person on this planet. Otherwise, it's not a truism. So that's a lot of assumptions. And they could just as easily have different twists and turns. Our amygdala runs on its own battery. You can't turn it off. It's the reason we choose to stay in our comfort zone instead of growing through our imagined fears. Everybody has this safety subroutine, which for the most part doesn't keep you safe, it keeps you stuck. So when you're considering a new possibility, 2 routines will be running. Your reptilian brain will be saying, stay where you are, stay safe, don't try, don't trust. It just doesn't feel right, that's not your path. Then there will be this still, quiet voice that says, grow. You need to feel for it, as it's often a sense or a feeling. Your safety voice is usually louder and more urgent. The truth comes when you make that decision. If you trusted your intuition, there'll be a feeling of lightness, a sense of knowing, of relief. There's often some fear or excitement there too, but the overarching sense is that release. What matters is knowing the difference between the 2. So try this. Think back to a time when you made a decision and it was the best thing for you. Recall what you were thinking and feeling as you considered your options. Find those 2 voices, the still, quiet, intuitive voice and the urgent, louder safety voice. Now do the same thing for a different decision that you made that was the right decision for you. Have you found those voices? As you think about that situation, seek those voices out. Now you're beginning to recognize your mind voice, which is run by the amygdala, and your intuitive voice. Now, I don't want to give your mind voice a bad rap here. It's brilliant at its job of coming up with solutions. Problem comes when we use it instead of our intuition to settle upon the answer. Would you like to know how to use the power of both to problem solve or to create opportunities? Okay, so take a moment and reflect on something that's been on your mind lately. Now frame this circumstance as a question and write that question on a piece of paper. Now find somewhere comfortable where you won't be disturbed and get quiet. Hold your question in your mind and allow your mind to begin gathering possible solutions. Write them on the piece of paper as they come to mind. Keep doing this until it's quiet. Then ask your intuition, what don't I yet see? Get quiet and notice what comes up. Once this is done, thank your mind and set the intention of allowing your higher self, or however you like to refer to him or her, to consider reflecting on the possibilities. Put the paper to one side. Now there will come a time in this process where your mind will start acting up. And when this happens, just acknowledge mind and be grateful for the power of your mind. It's just your mind trying to keep you safe, whatever that means. Keep reflecting on the question throughout the day and ask yourself to work on it through the night while you're asleep. Often you'll wake knowing the answer, or it'll come when you're in the shower or during silent time. You see, the important thing is that you create the space of silence so intuition can come through. Remember when you recognized when your intuition was speaking and when your mind was speaking? Notice how you feel and trust your intuition. Sending you lots of love. Bye for now. Hey, thanks for listening to today's podcast. Can I ask you a favor? If our conversation spoke to you today, could you please take a moment to leave a 5-star review? Your review will help people discover this podcast, and together we can create a world where there's even more love and more laughter. And if you want to hear more from the Project Joyful podcast, just click the subscribe button. Bye for now.